chamber, in terms of the layout, everybody is sitting in a different position to what we were expecting. Just want to confirm that the camera are happy with the layout that's taking place at the moment. Morning, Councillor McGregor.
Right, we'll open today's
Sorry,
meeting.
Chair, we're not live yet. Could you just bear with me one moment? Leader, we are now live.
Take 4. I'm not grumpy today.
Leader, the live is, you have a live feed.
What did she say? Right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll open today's meeting. It is an unusual meeting today because it's the first one that's been streamed live via YouTube or one of its other platforms. We've got 6 members of the executive in the room, and we've got 2 on virtual connection. We've also got officers on virtual connection also. So, do you want introductions? Do you all need to be introduced to each other? No? Right, we'll make a start then. I don't think we've got any apologies for absence. We've got Clive Mosby remotely. We've got Nick Clark remote. And we've got everyone else in this council chamber, except Duncan, who's now disappeared. I'd urge everybody to remain on camera. If you're not on camera, then you've been deemed to have left the meeting. As has already been stated, turn your microphones off if you're not speaking. And when it comes to, if you want to ask a question or what have you, indicate, and if I don't notice you, somebody will point it out to me, I'm sure they will. Right, we'll make a start. We have no urgent item. Just hang on a minute. Duncan, turn it off. With no urgent items of business, any declarations of interest? No declarations of interest, we'll proceed. Minutes of previous meeting, you'll find these on page 4 through to page 7. Everybody got a copy? You got a copy there, Nick, Clive?
Yes, Clive.
Right, that's fine. Anybody?
Yes, I have, thank you.
Okay, Nick. Anything on page 4? Page 5? Page 6? And finally, page 7.
I'll move there's a true correct record.
It's been
Chair.
moved, seconded. Seconded, all in favour? Got your hands up, Nick, Clive? Hello?
I've got my hand up on my screen.
I've got my hand up on the screen, Steve.
That's carried, yeah. Right, we'll move on. We've got no matters referred from scrutiny. We've got no matters of a budgetary and policy framework. And we move on to item 5. You've all got item 5 on page 8. Yeah?
Yes.
Everybody happy? Right.
Yes.
I'll call Deborah Watson to present this one. Page 8, item 5, Deborah.
Thank you, Chair. This report is to seek approval to revoke 2 air quality management areas which are in Barbara. As you know, the council has a duty to assess our air quality for key pollutants, and back in 2005 and 2007, 2 very small areas in Barbara were found to be exceeding the levels of nitrogen dioxide, and so air quality management areas were put in place along with relevant action plans. And monitoring has now shown that over the last 5 years, the levels have now been well within the national objectives and has shown a general reduction during that period. So it's therefore recommended that the 2 air quality management areas are revoked. Just to reassure members that that doesn't mean that monitoring will stop, it will indeed continue, but it will free up resources to concentrate on other areas. So I would move the recommendation on page 12 to revoke the 2 air quality management areas in Barbara.
Any question? Any questions of Deborah? If they're too technical, I'm sure Karen will answer anything that's raised, won't you, Karen? Karen will try. Any questions for
Yes.
Nick?
Yeah, so it's not a question, it's just a comment. I noticed on the air quality monitoring one on Chesterfield Road, there was a small spike from 218 to 219. Obviously, I hear what Debbie said about the monitoring will continue. Just to hopefully that would be just a blip and it won't be continuing to rise.
Thanks, Nick. Nick's observation. Yeah, any observations, Mary from Pinkston?
No, Chair.
Right, okay. Right, it's been moved, seconded, all in favour, indicate. That's carried, unanimous. Right, it's still with you, Deborah, and we're looking at page 16 to 85.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this relates to our duty to assess the air quality in the area and any pollutants. This is the annual status report for air quality in 2019. It covers all the different areas that have been monitored, the actions that we've put in place to improve air quality. It discusses the two areas that we've just discussed and just revoked in Barbara, and also a further third one in South Normanton that has an air quality management area. Like I said, this is the status report that's been submitted to DEFRA, and it's for executive to note and the contents. I'm sure if there's any questions, Karen will do her best to answer.
Endeavour to.
I'll move the recommendation on page 18.
Recommendation's been moved. Any questions?
Yeah, Chair.
Mary?
Yeah, I'm concerned about these figures. In South Normanton, these are being monitored now. In the next, I'll say 5 years, we're going to have an influx of motor vehicles in developments in Pinxton. Therefore, the air quality, and I know that we're on about the electric vehicles, but up until then, it is a concern for the children that are in our secondary school, 11 to 16-year-olds, which are breathing this air now. But I have one or two questions, Chair, if that's okay.
Yes, fine.
On the third bullet point down, 2.3 on page 17. While the levels have been below for 5 years and the significant change, should this trend continue to be suitable for revocation? I can't see any data regarding this change. So I'd like to know if there is any data available. I've got can I go through it on pages, or can somebody answer as I'm still on the page?
Do you want to answer an individual? Is that what
Yes,
you're
please. Yes, please.
Karen?
Okay, thank you, Chair. So in relation to paragraph 2.3 on page 17, yes, we definitely have data available for South Normanton. It's part of the AQMA. It's the last one remaining following the decision this morning to remove the other two. So what that paragraph is saying is that effectively for the last 3 to 4 years, or even up to 5 years, that particular AQMA has very low levels now and is probably suitable for a revocation as well. However, because of the changes to the motorway and the smart motorway that was introduced recently in 2018, we're going to continue to monitor that. And we can give you the figures for that, Councillor Dooley. If you want me to get those for you, I can provide those, no problem at all, because we have a station in that area specifically looking at that area, that issue. And we're hoping to be able to revocate that one in 2021. Thank you.
If I can come back on that point, Chair, then you're talking about smart motorways, and Anne is a smart one, they say now, but on occasions, and Clive will verify this, 1 hour 40 minutes in a tailback of traffic from junction 28 to Tipshaw services, and this is on a regular basis, but that is still being monitored, isn't it? Right. My next question then, Chair, is we had some money from central government, but you don't say how much. How much money did we have from central government to put these issues to right?
Okay, so paragraph 2.5 relates to the additional money that we've received recently, actually, with regard to the specific area on the A38, which is around MacArthur Glen to the boundary of our district.
Yeah.
The money that we've had to conduct the initial data of an assessment of that and analysis of that has been very, very significant. I understand it's probably over £500,000. I need to get you the exact figure, Councillor Dooley, but it's a lot of money that has been put in specifically by the government to assess the air quality in that particular area. But I'll get you the precise amount. I think it's between £500,000 and £600,000.
Second question then, Chair, with your indulgence.
I shall indulge, yeah.
Thank you. On page 30, although it's the paragraph down at the bottom, although the South Normanton AQMA reported as being below the air quality objective, It was close to 39.8 and it is still being retained for the time being. How long can you say, Karen, that this will be monitored for? Are we still monitoring? Because we're coming to the end of the monitoring table 2020. So how much longer are we going to be retaining them?
The air quality monitoring in that area will continue forthwith. There's no time or date that will cease that. We may revoke the AQMA at 2021 if it's no longer needed, but we'll continue to monitor the air quality in that area. It's one of our hotspot areas that we're very interested in. So we will continue to monitor that for indefinitely.
Switch on, Mary.
Yeah, the next one is for consultation. Consultation has been provided to parish councils. They've been in talks. No parish council that I've been attending in the past 15 years and going further, that I have had any information regarding the air quality on Junction 28. So I wondered, is that through the chair not giving us the information, or what is the reason, Karen? Have we been notified as a parish regarding the air quality on Junction 28?
Okay, I'll have a look into that for you, Councillor Dooley. I would hazard a guess that we would probably send all the information to the clerk of the parish council, but I would want to double check that for you and get that back to you. So I'll double check exactly what consultation has taken place with the parish and I'll let you know. Thank you.
That's it, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Clive?
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I mean, welcome everybody. Nice to see you all. Obviously, it's the South Normanton bit that interests me. I do know that there's been, I presume it's an air quality monitoring station built outside of Tipshire Services, Karen, and I don't quite know what the reason for that is, even if it is an air quality monitoring station. But, you know, to concur with what Mary said, Junction 28 is quite a bottleneck, irrespective if there's been any road collisions or anything or not. The tailbacks on the exit there, do go near enough back up to Tipshire Service on a regular basis when motorways running normally. There is increased building, and I know you've had this extra money on the A38 in Ashfield, really, with various warehouses and stuff going up there, which is obviously all heading down towards Junction 28. So it's a note of caution just to keep us on things, because the situation is altering on a continual basis, and I've read somewhere that they're saying that smart motorways are not what they should be nowadays, and we perhaps do need to have an hard shoulder and 3 lanes. But it's really just keep an eye on it. Let's know what's going on. It has been high. We have had a lot of money, and we just need to keep watching brief on it all, because it is quite dangerous. So just a comment, Stephen. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Clive. So you're saying that a smart motorway is perhaps not as smart as they originally thought they were going to be?
I think from freedom of information stuff that seems to be going out on smart motorways nowadays, it is proven that it's not as smart as it should be. Yeah, I think you're right, Steve.
Thanks, Clive. Nick, did you want to say anything? I don't know whether you indicated.
Yes, please. Just an observation. I mean, we've seen the figures around Junction 28, and there's frequent, as Clive and Mary said, there's frequent standing traffic from the slip road back to Tipshire Services, and also from the Junction 28 M1 back down the A38, sometimes up to a couple of miles. Now, frequently, when you join the M1 from the A38, there are 60-mile-an-hour signs, air quality. Does this not contribute to higher readings and poor air quality, because you've got bunching traffic, whereas if the traffic was allowed to flow away, you probably wouldn't have so much of the the fumes being emitted in a shorter concentrated area?
Thanks, Nick, for that. You want to make any comment, Karen? You're quite happy?
Thank you for your comments. I think the only additional comment I can make is that the theory behind the 60-mile limit that we saw when the traffic was very busy prior to lockdown, I understand is in relation to keeping the traffic moving at a slower level, but continuously moving at a slower speed. So that was the aim of monitoring. They've used different speeds to monitor it, to check it. There've been a lot of air quality around the smart motorways, as you'll know from the signage. We're waiting. That's precisely the reason why we're not requesting the removal of the AQMA in that area. We are keeping a watching brief on it to make sure that the smart motorways don't have an impact on the air quality in that area that we don't want to see. So we are going to keep the AQMA in that area until we get to see the full impact of the smart motorways. And as you say, to see what needs to be done if the air quality is reducing in that area and there's a negative impact, we'll continue with the AQMA work forthwith. We'll hopefully have an update in the next 12 months with regard to the impact of the smart motorways.
All right, thanks, Karen. The recommendation's been moved. Is it seconded?
Councillor McGregor, second.
All in favour? Yeah, full out.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, I got you, Nick. You're right. Next one is it's Deborah again.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this report gives an update on the Environmental Health Service, and really it continues to keep you updated on the review of environmental health that's been ongoing. And it outlines the planned improvements and also now incorporates some of the lessons learned from how it's handled the change in workload and the increased workload through the coronavirus crisis. For example, supporting businesses in their closure and also now their subsequent reopening, increased numbers of complaints, rate fires and things like that. The recommendations on page 6 are to note these improvements and the plans for new ways of working as we move ahead, and there'll be further reports to come as we move
So
on.
you move 6, 1, 1, 2, 3 and 4.
On page 94, yeah.
Right, any questions on this one? Mary?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, on the new ways of working, will the staff have to reapply for the jobs? Because there's new ways of working, so they've got new contracts. Have they got to reapply for the jobs?
Do we to answer that? I can answer that. No, the new ways of working relate to technology. So what we're looking at is learning the lessons from the COVID-19 remote working, making sure that we can maximise on that to get as many staff out across the district as possible, to stop them having to work in the office so much, so that they can fill out online forms, have a much more efficient and effective way of working in the future, working with the IT department to really get that as best we can. So it's about learning the lessons from what we've done in the last 3 months and continuing to improve the service. For me, this report is very much a good news story. I don't know if you'll remember, some time ago we put a lot of resource and effort into improvements in environmental health across the district. This report really is to give you a kind of state of play update, a position statement, to let you know that the food safety inspections are right up to date, the animal health inspections are up to date, and all of the bits and pieces that we were slightly struggling with because of resource implications have now been dealt with. The issue now is to sustain that and make sure that we've got the right workforce in place. We currently have temporary arrangements for some posts, so it's about getting a permanent workforce in place for that. So there's definitely no changes to current jobs or job descriptions, etc. There's no impact at all on staff.
Yeah, that's good to know. It is a good news story. They've been doing all sorts since we've had this COVID-19, and across both North East, I noticed 835 jobs. For Bolsover and North East, it's 838. So yeah, it is a good news story, Karen, really is, that they've been doing other jobs and working in different ways, and I think we've got to do that in the future.
If members recall, we had discussions about this prior to the coronavirus, and we recognised then that we got to invest more money and more energy into environmental health. What the last 3 months have shown is that that investment has been well placed. The management structure which changed has been efficient and productive. And so, you know, Corona has been a test of the efficiency of environmental health rather than environmental health changing because of coronavirus. Everything changes when you get a thing like this, and it's how quick and how efficient you can deal with it. And I think we need to have on record that we are pleased with the advances made in environmental health, and the recommendations are on page, is it 94, Deborah? And you moved all them, is that seconded?
Councillor McGregor, second.
Any questions? Nick, you want to ask?
Yeah, just I'm in favour of the report. It's just that I was contacted over the weekend by ward constituents, and it's regarding the visiting of in the community. And the question she's asked is, do we know if Bolsover District Council Community Support Unit team will continue to support or offer support to shielded people after the 1st of August, when the government says that shielding will be paused?
Karen?
Thank you. This is in relation to the government shielding programme, that you'll be aware that some of those measures will be reduced for those particular people at the end, towards the end of July. The council will continue to support people wherever it's needed in relation to COVID-19. So we continue to have our community support team up and running. We will continue to ensure that members of our community, especially the more vulnerable, the shielded people, have the information that they need, the family support that they need. And hopefully by now, I think what we're finding is that people are tending to have their food arrangements in place with supermarkets, which is a fantastic step forward. That some of that service is no longer required, but things around prescriptions, etc., will continue to work with the communities as long as we're needed.
Thanks, Karen. You okay with that, Nick?
Yes, thanks very much, Karen. Yeah, what I'll do, I'll pass those comments on to the constituents.
What I think we all need to remember is that Bolsover District Council has always been here to help. You know, we've discussed some of the effects of coronavirus on community, isolation, loneliness, this sort of thing, the vulnerability of some of our residents. And, you know, even when all this has disappeared, we'll still continue to do that. I'm sure we will, won't we? They're all nodding, right. It's moved and seconded. All in favour? That's carried, unanimous. Next one is on page 96, and that's you, Clive.
Thanks, Chair. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. I wish I were there with you, but I'm stuck in my own kitchen, supping tea and feeling comfortable. Anyway, morning. Right, I'll run through this. It's a fairly lengthy report, so I'm going to go through it, you know, just bit by bit in it all, and then obviously take any questions from anybody, either myself or Teresa will take them. So what we've got, this is to inform executive the council's position for 1920. It published its draft statement of accounts with respect to the 1920 on 28th of May of this year, and the statutory deadline of 31st of May was extended up to 31st of August due to the coronavirus impact. Draft statements for accounts 1920 are now subject to audit from council external auditors. And really, until these have been agreed by them, they could be subject to amendment within it all. We're hoping to get that done by June, July time, and the final audit accounts hopefully extended to between period of July to November, and then go through to audit committee meeting in September 21st for ratification. The sections of the report that we're covering are obviously the general fund, housing revenue account, capital programme, and treasury and management side of it all. We move on to page 97. General fund, you can see that the general fund outturn is detailed in appendix 1 at the back, and the main variances are showed really in the table underneath there, with increased monies coming in from planning and 1 or 2 other areas within it. So that's where the variants have come within it all. Was transferred into reserves at the end of the financial year. It's agreed that a number of transfers into reserves in preparation for future commitments from the income that we received in 1920. So transfer to reserves total 2.675 million, of which 1.595 million is shown in that table 1 above. So a good outcome. Some of the money that went across was, as you can see over on page 98, into IT reserves, vehicle renewal, and the NNDR growth protection reserve. The NNDR is going to be realigned or readjusted or whatever. It's been favourable to us up to this present time, but it could sort of have a bit of a downturn when they do this review of it all. So, you know, we're putting some money in there to make sure we're covered within it. And we've transferred just over $500,000 into general reserves as a result of that. As you can see from paragraph 1 there, Steve's thought, you know, when we get out of COVID or whatever, whenever we do whatever, we'll have a bit of a celebration across the district. So there's £8,000 being put on one side, £1 for every resident, I think it is at the end of the day, so that some parishes, you know, parishes can go on and celebrate, you know, coming out of COVID or whatever. 1.7 shows us the transformation reserve. It started up at about 7.5 million. We've spent about 5.5 million, just about that, and that leaves us with just over 2 million uncommitted. Some of the things you probably remember that we're doing with that is we had a swimming pool cover, and we did a debt reduction exercise, you know, with Teresa, so we're not sort of borrowing money and paying some of the debts off in it all. But we have to note that there's only a couple of million left in there, so we have to be careful what we're going. We'll keep an eye on earmark reserves, and if we don't use them, we'll put on an allocated general reserves back into general fund at the end of the day. When we move on to general fund balances have increased to 2.2661 million, and we agreed in December that we would increase this for the superannuation costs. General fund balances are considered to be acceptable for a district council. It's generally about 5% within it all, but we just need to keep an eye on this because with only a limited general fund reserve, it's crucial that council continues to maintain its robust budgetary control while securing ongoing saving targets so that we can actually safeguard both reserves and our financial stability at the end of the day. Because if we get an underspend or we don't achieve much, the level we've got at present gives us that bit of breathing space to be able to adjust without having to take some, as it says there, crisis remedial action. So the reserves there to give us that steady moving if we do find things alter. And obviously, you know, we're not sure where things are going with COVID. And as it says, the local government finances are such that all new resources of income, whether it's capital or revenue, which really should be given it really good detailed consideration before we reject it and get in there at all, because every little helps, as it says in Tesco's, whatever. I suppose main feature at 1920 financial year is it council transferred £1.595 million into earmark reserves for future expansion. With regard to underlying favourable variance in general fund, this will be reviewed during the normal budget process from 2021 through to 24-25, and we'll be reviewing that from October onwards this year. And you can see from the table below, the current medium-term financial plan is shown within that table there. There's one thing I'd like to, and it is showing a balance, but we do have to note on 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Efficiency identified but not yet realised. We do need to keep us, you know, as on these, and we do need to save these to get these balanced budgets, and so we've got to keep a watching brief on this. And I suppose to some extent, this is where we're going to look to the new directorate to not only generate income, but try and replace funding we lost before we run out of this NNDR growth protection reserve, because that is being fed into this medium-term plan to keep the balances, you know, to keep it as a balanced budget, but it's not something we can keep doing forever. As a revenue account is appendix to 3 within it all, there's been 1 or 2 variances in there. Expenditure position is about £1/3 below what we're going to do. An income position is also about 1.23 below what we're expecting coming in. But taking those one front order, we've come out with an underspend of about 0.26 million, and taking tax out of it, that brings it down to 2.56 million within it all. Surplus to be used to fund the development reserve, which will maintain that council housing stock within it all. HRE balances have increased to 2.11 million, and it's been agreed by executive again in December to increase an increase of 1.155 million will be utilised to mitigate and increase the contribution to the local government pension scheme, because that's going to be costing us more money within it all. It'll give us again that bit of buffer. HRA balances are really considered appropriate, and that we should be able to keep maintaining the 30-year business plan and improve the services and quality of housing provided. by HRA. Moving on to 1.17 capital investments within the store, you can see where we are there. It's set out in that summary below. And I suppose in relation to the general element of the capital programme during 1920, 3.053 million was not undertaken, and these were joint venture disabled fertility grants and building assets programme. And they're the main reasons for the variance shown within that table on page 100. HRA schemes, HR variance show 4.285 million of the total HR problem has not been undertaken this year. And these were new build properties, Bolsover, Safe and Warm, and new Bolsover schemes being the main variance within it all. Details are carried forward, as you can see, within the report. Move on to 1.21, which is capital financing. Again, there's a table there on page 101 at the bottom there. You can see capital finance programs within it all. And obviously we finance that through a contribution from capital receipts reserves and external funding. HRA capital finance, it's a combination of capital receipts, reserve contributions, prudential borrowing, and indeed external. They're the sort of main four areas where we get it from. Treasury management, there's a brief report on that within there at Appendix 5, and there again the main points to pick out from that is we've repaid £3 million to Public Waste Loan Board, and the thing is we're using the money earlier on. We've not done any borrowing in 1920, so that keeps that relatively straightforward, I think. Then I suppose moves on to conclusion. General fund financial manage its budget effectively, I think, and we've got a favourable outturn for this year. HRA operates with parameters set within 30-year business plan, so we seem to be okay on that. Capital programme made good progress in all schemes, and monies are there for bills that we haven't got into it yet. Within treasury management system at 2.5, we've operated within the strategy for that, so everything's looking okay there. And I think, moving on to implications, risk and financial implications have been, I think, outlined throughout all. It's a case of we're okay now, we don't know the future holds. We've got to keep an eye on things. We've got to get money from where we can. We've got to meet the target savings, and we've got to deliver. So, it's not over yet, sort of thing. So, happy to take any question. I'm sure Teresa will pick up as well if we need to. I just want we all, if you let me, Steve, just as regards one thing, because Teresa sent me a bit of light reading through, as she put it. It's the actual monthly return to MHCLG for COVID-19. It says the return consists of about 60. It's not within this report. This is separate, so you'll not find it if you're looking for it. It consists of 16 pages, and we have to submit this by the 15th. I think it's 15th of June. This one's gone in, and really within that period of time, we've submitted a report for the coronavirus stuff, such things as rough sleeping, monies that we spent on rough sleeping, overtime, parcels for shielding, ICT, remote working, leaflet printing and PPE and stuff like that. And we put a request in for 163,000, or nearly 164,000. But I have to say there's a lot of work goes into this to try and recover this money. But it's money that we do need to recover again to make our position that bit more stable. So thanks for your indulgence on bringing that bit in that you haven't got, but I think it's right that council do know that we are working in background and trying to make sure we recover money spent on COVID. So if there's any questions, I'll try and take them. If not, I'm sure Teresa will take them from me. And with that,
any questions to Clive? Mary?
Yes, Chair. Yeah, it's nice to see you, Clive, and you're still as bouncy as ever, so I appreciate you being there. As you know, we're coming in now 3 to 4 days a week, so we're nearly back to normal. So, but it is nice to see you there. You mentioned safe and warm, and it was mentioned in the quality assessment about how many more boilers, the new type boilers, have to be put in our houses and flats. How many boilers are still got to be outstanding? How many boilers are still outstanding on this safe and warm project? That's what I'm trying to say, Chair.
I think that's more Grant.
Yeah, I ain't got an answer to that at all, Mary. Sorry, mate.
Got Grant.
I haven't got an actual answer to that, but we are working through. So most of the private dwellings or the single dwellings have been sorted. We're working through the group dwellings now, so there's a programme to ensure that we do get through them all.
I was asked on Saturday and it was Jubilee Court, so I'll take that message back. Yeah, a question on page 112, special services. What are these special services? 73,000, and then it goes down out 2019 to 20, and then it goes down to 1,746 variants. What's the special services?
Special services across the board, Teresa?
Yeah.
I can find out exactly what that is for you. It's what we've always had, but I think it's I can find out exactly for you because I can't remember off the top of my head, but we've had them for years, and I'll let you have that.
You okay
Thanks,
with that,
Teresa.
Mary?
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Any further questions? No, nobody's indicated. On page
104.
98, I ain't got that far yet. You know, it's 80,000 quid.
Yeah.
You know, the concept for that was that it would aid parishes. Perhaps raise a bit of hope and a bit of joyousness, I don't know. We missed VE Day. The next one was VJ Day, and we might miss that, I don't know. Depends what mood Boris is in, I suppose. You know, it's 80,000 quid. It's £1 per capita per parish population. The only stipulation when they claim it is it's got to be spent locally. I mean, that is a part of recommendation, so it's entirely up to members, but that's what it's about. Mary?
I were remiss to say thank you, Chair, for that, because that will go a long way to making a hell of a party in Pinxton, and I welcome it. Thank you so much.
It's not forced to be VJ Day, because they might still be locked up by VJ Day. But, you know, at some time in future, at some stage in future, you know, we've got to try and provide hope, encouragement, and some sort of future to people that we represent. And as I say, spend it locally. It'll aid our ambition to get people back on High Street. Clive, you want to wrap up? Hold on.
Yeah.
One second, Sandra.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to know if there was a time limit on that.
On what?
On applying for the money. Has it got to be this year, or can it go for next year?
Oh, no, it's got to be this year.
Got to be this year.
We can't keep.
Thank you.
Can't roll it forward forever, can we? Clive.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Bits of questions at all. Yeah, and I agree. You know, we all could do a bit of uplift, I think, and bit of joyous stuff. As long as Mary don't attract too many vehicles coming down motorway at 8:38, not improving the air much for air celebration in Pinxton. That's the only caveat I put in on that one at the end of the day.
We'll encourage cycling and walking.
Okay, well done. We'll buy everybody a bike in parish. How about that? That'll solve loads of things. Okay, well, there's recommendation on page 104, 6.123. If there's no more questions, Chair, I'm happy to move those recommendations.
It's been moved.
Councillor McGregor, second.
Duncan seconded it. We're all in favour, and that's carried. Just one thing, Clive mentioned growth and referred to grants department, but there's no pressure grant. I think you've got that, haven't you? Yeah. Right, next one.
Yeah, there might be no pressure from you. There might be a bit of pressure from me, though. So tell them to, you know, be aware.
Right. Switch off. Right. Behave. Next one is, for a change, we've got Sandra. And this is page 120, agenda item 9. Sandra, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the purpose of the report is to seek approval to establish a framework of 3 painting contractors to provide a minor painting work service for Bolsover District Council Housing Department as and when required. The existing minor works service framework expires on the 1st of August. We've had 6 submissions. The contract will be for an initial period of 2 years with 2 possible extensions, each of 1 year. The total contract value is estimated at 120,000 over the 4-year period. So I'd like to move the recommendation that the framework contract be awarded to Alfred Bagnall and Sons Limited, Whittle Program Maintenance Limited, and Devlin Decorators Limited for the provision of the minor painting work service for Bolsover District Council Housing Department. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Sandra. Any questions to Sandra? No? Fairly straightforward. We can gloss over that one, can't we? Painting, gloss. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Is that seconded?
I'll say that, Chair.
Seconded. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Right, we've now come to the end of the agenda. I don't know whether it went okay or not. There have been no breakdowns, no stuttering. So I don't know whether the solicitor to the council has any observations on this, Sarah. No, she's not switched on. Oh, failure.
Failure of the mouse, yes.
Oh,
As far as I'm aware, everything has proceeded fine and it's been live streamed. So we're okay to end the meeting.
Thank you, Sarah. Nicola's got a thumbs up, so she's okay. Donna, is Donna waving her arms?
Yeah,
Does she
everything's
look-
fine. Thank
does
you,
she look
Chair.
happy?
I've got the record of the meeting.
Right, there you go. Mary, you want to say something?
Again,
It's
sorry.
not about office
So,
staff.
no, I can't wait to get some normality. This really doesn't work for me. It's worked today, but I'd sooner get back to normal. And the quicker we do that, the better it'll be all round, I think.
But if members can recall, when I was asked about this some months ago, I said that, you know, we'd have this in place until at least the annual meeting next year, because some members, even if they lift this lockdown or what, this quarantine or what have you, or if there's no second spike in coronavirus, you know, I don't want members and officers to feel under pressure to come back in here when it's not necessary for them to do so. So that will continue. Sorry, Mayor, but it'll continue until